Before we get started modeling Mario's body, hopefully you guys will have set the project and imported your image planes. If not, please refer to part 1 of modeling Mario. Let's create a new layer and double click on it, and let's call it image planes. Let's save it and add the image planes to the layer. Now set it to reference, that way you won't be able to select it. Let's create a cube and move it up into the pelvis area. Let's give the cube a subdivision width of 4 and a subdivision depth of 3. Now let's scale it, and let's go to the right view and scale it as well to give it some depth. Let's go to the front view and move a vertex down a little bit to match the pelvis. Let's turn on the select symmetry tool. And let's move these verts down. Let's create the pelvis area. And let's just match the image planes. Let's keep rounding out the pelvis area. Let's move these vertices up. Think about it as like creating the underwear, how underwear looks. Let's select the top faces of the pelvis. Let's turn off the select symmetry tool. And let's go to the front view and extrude it to the belly button. And let's extrude it one more time to the chest. And let's extrude it one more time to the shoulders. Let's go to the front view and turn on symmetry, and let's shape the vertices to Mario's body. Let's try to pull these vertices in. Let's go to the right view and let's do the same thing. Just match the image plane. Just keep shaping the torso until it looks like a kidney, sort of. Just round everything out. Let's turn on the visibility of Mario's head just to get an idea of how the torso looks with it. Let's smooth these set of vertices up to the armpit area. And let's see, adjust the collar area a little bit better. Move them down at like an angle. Let's round out the top of the collar area. Let's create an edge loop here. And let's go to the right view. And let's try to shape where the arm is supposed to go, the arm socket. Let's shape that area. Let's select these verts and extend them out a little bit. They're like the trapezius, like you would say, the trapezius area. By now your torso should look something like this. Let's move these vertices out a little bit more and make the arm socket a little bit smaller. So when we create the arm and fit it in, it'll fit perfectly. Let's go ahead and create a cylinder and move it up, and let's set it to 8 subdivisions and rotate it 90 degrees. And let's scale it and move it up to where the arm is and where we already prepared the arm socket. And let's match it to the image reference. Let's select the faces of the cylinder and delete them. And let's go to the other side and select those faces as well and delete it. And let's select the vertices and try to rotate it. Whoops. Let's turn off symmetry real quick and rotate it. That way it's the same angle as the arm socket. And let's try to get it aligned. Let's go to the right view and move it a little bit and try to center it to the arm socket. Let's select the faces where the arm socket should be and delete them. Next, let's select all the vertices in the arm socket and move them closer to the cylinder shape of where the arm is. Let's just move it a little bit closer. Move these guys a little bit closer. Let's delete history on the arm and then delete history on the torso. Let's go to Mesh, Combine, and let's go to the Target Weld tool and let's weld these guys together. Let's select this vertex right here and adjust it a little bit. Now let's select the whole mesh and delete history. And let's select the top of the neck area. And let's select all the faces and delete it. Let's select half the faces on Mario's body. And let's delete it. Next, let's push D to change the pivot and push X to center the pivot and push D again. And now let's select all the vertices in the center and push X to align it properly. Next, let's go to Duplicate Special and make sure it's on Instance. And let's duplicate special. And let's create 2 edge loops by the armpit. And let's select the one edge loop and scale it to straighten it out. Let's quickly turn on the visibility to Mario's head just to see what it would look like. Let's just keep on adjusting the vertices on the torso until it looks correct. Like the neck here, it probably needs to be a little more rounded. let's go to the split polygon tool and create an edge loop underneath Mario's torso. Push enter, and let's select faces, these faces right here, and delete them. That'll be the hip socket for Mario's legs. Let's go create a cylinder, and let's make it a subdivision axis of 8, and let's move it and scale it to the right position on the image plane. And let's select these verts and pull them up a little, and let's select the faces on the cylinder on both ends and delete them. Select these guys and delete it. And let's move this to match the image plane. And let's select these verts. Let's turn off the symmetry tool first and rotate them to match the hip socket and pull them up a little bit. And let's move these guys a little bit. Let's select the torso and the leg and let's combine them. Next, let's delete history. And let's go to the target weld tool and weld these guys together. Weld, target weld. Weld these guys. Weld this. Whoop. Let's delete history again. And let's go and select some vertices and move them in and make it more rounded on the top part. Let's go to the split polygon tool and create a edge here and here leading to the leg. Let's create an edge loop running to the back of the glute area. And let's delete this edge right here. And let's move this so it's even. Now let's go to the split polygon tool again and create an edge from here all the way down to the end of the leg. And let's round out the leg a little bit better. Let's go to the split polygon tool again and create another edge loop. And let's connect this to the vertex near the crotch. And let's move that up. And let's move these vertices so they're more spread out and even. Let's go to the split polygon tool and create another edge loop. Let's connect this to the back of the leg or the inner crotch. And let's move this in. And let's round out the vertices once again to make it more even and smooth. Let's insert an edge loop where the inner thigh and the torso meet. And Let's once again select these vertices right here and push them in to make them more rounded. Select these, push it in. Now your Mario body should look something like this. Let's go to the front view real quick and click D to change the pivot, and click X to center it, and click D again. Let's select all the vertices in the middle of Mario's body and click X to align it. And let's go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and click Instance and Duplicate Special. Let's turn on the visibility of Mario's head just to see what it would look like and see how the proportions are. Next, let's create an edge loop where the knee would be. Let's select these vertices and go to the scale tool and just make it straight. Next, let's create an edge loop where the belly button will be. And let's just move those verts to the right place. Let's round out the pelvis area and just make sure everything's nice and even and smooth. Let's move these vertices up in the chest area, move it up a little more, as well as the ones in the back. Let's go to the Insert Edge Loop tool and insert 2 edge loops in the body area, and let's select some vertices and even it out a little bit. Let's even this out and make it let's round out the body so it looks more even, and the collar area as well. Now let's insert 1 edge loop in the arm. Let's keep shaping the torso until it looks nice and smooth and even. At this point, your Mario body should look something like this. Let's go to the Insert Edge Loop tool and create 2 edge loops where the elbow will be, and 2 edge loops where the wrist will be, and 2 edge loops where the knee will be, and 2 more where the ankles will be. And let's go to select the edges of the cuff area of the t-shirt, and let's extrude and scale it in. Go scale in, and let's select the edges of the pants area, the bottom pants area, and extrude that as well and scale those in. Let's delete history on Mario's body and change the menu to modeling. And let's select the inner edges of the cuff and extrude in. And next, let's select the inner edges of the ankle area, of the leg area, and let's extrude in as well. Now we're going to create the overalls and the t-shirt. Let's go to the front view and select the top faces of the Mario's body. And let's go to Edit Mesh, Duplicate, and go to Options and make sure Duplicate Faces is on. Select the top geometry and call it Overall. Select the next geometry and call it Shirt. And let's go to the overalls sleeve area and delete those. And let's delete some top faces of the overall as well, since we won't be needing those. Let's delete those. And let's go to the back side and delete those. And delete that one. And let's go to select vertices and push these guys down a little and go to the right view and go to and match the image planes. And let's push these guys out a little bit since we don't want them colliding with the shirt. Push these guys out. Push these guys out. And see, and let's push this vert out so it won't collide with the shirt. Push this one. Let's just continue shaping it until it looks like the overalls in the reference image. Let's create the strap for the overalls. And first let's select a few more verts and push them in. Make sure they don't overlap with the overall. Let's go to object mode and delete history on the shirt. And let's select one of the edges on the overall, which the strap will start from, and the back where it'll end. And let's go to Edit Mesh, Bridge, and let's go to See-Through View, push 4, and go to change the subdivisions to 5. And let's go, let's see, change the curve type to Blend. And now we have an overall strap. Let's adjust these vertices on the strap. Make sure they follow the image planes and they're nice and even. And make sure they don't overlap any other geometry as well. Let's turn on the visibility of Mario's head. As you can see, we have some overlap issues with the strap. Let's go to the front view and let's move these to the right, move these vertices to the right a little more. Follow the image plane, of course. Move these to the right, move these to the right. Let's adjust the area around the collar of the neck. Let's select these vertices and make sure they don't overlap the neck area. Next, let's adjust the straps on Mario again. Select these verts and bring them up. Make sure they don't overlap the t-shirt or the neck. Let's go to the split polygon tool and create an edge right here. Next, let's go to select faces. Select this face and delete it. Let's select this edge right here and let's pull it out and extrude it down. And let's go to the front view and let's scale it a little bit and extrude it one more time and match the geometry to the image plane. Let's pull this out a little bit more. Let's go to the split polygon tool real quick and hold shift and split an edge loop around the strap. And let's select this vertex on the bottom and pull it down. Let's try to match the image plane. Let's go to the smooth preview, see how it looks. And let's go to the split polygon tool and split an edge right here. Let's go to smooth preview again, see how it looks. And then let's add another edge to make it more straight. That's a little bit better. Let's select this edge right here and extrude it up. Next, let's go to vertex mode and target weld these two vertex together. And let's move this vertice back a little. Let's select Mario's overall and delete history. Let's select the edges of the strap as well as all the edges on the top of the overall. And let's extrude it really quick in the Z-axis. And let's extrude it one more time in the Z-axis, one more time inwards. And let's go to a smooth preview, and as you can see, it has more depth to it. Let's select Mario's t-shirt and turn off the visibility of the head and select all the inner edges of the neck area. And let's go extrude on the Z-axis. And let's extrude one more time. Let's turn on the visibility of Mario's head, and let's adjust the vertices on his overall strap. The reason why that I didn't select all the faces of the shirt or the overalls and extrude them was because I wanted to create as less geometry as possible, because later on when you rig it with joints, it'll complicate things a little more. Let's round out the armpit area of Mario's overalls. Let's push these down a little bit, push these and just round it out to match the image plane. Let's duplicate Mario's overalls to the other side. Let's go to the front view. Select all the center vertices. Let's go to the move tool and make sure it's in the world axis. And hold X and move it to the center grid line. And it should be aligned properly now. Let's go to the front view and change the pivot. Hold D to change the pivot. And then click X to center it, and click D again to get off of it. And let's go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and make sure it's on Instance and duplicate it. Let's do the same thing to Mario's t-shirt. Let's select all the center vertices and click X and move it to the left and then back to the center grid line. let's click D to change the pivot point, and then click X to center it, and then click D again. And then let's go to Duplicate Special. Let's smooth out Mario's overalls. First, let's go to Surfaces. Then let's go to the Sculpt Geometry tool, and let's double click on the Sculpt Geometry tool and click Pull. And let's shape Mario's overalls. And let's go to the Smooth tab and smooth out any bumps. At this point, your model should look something like this. Let's go to the side view and go to the Split Polygon tool and hold Shift, Control, and create an edge loop right here. Next, let's select some vertices and round out Mario's leg area. Let's click these guys right here and go to the Move tool, and let's round out the leg area a little bit. Let's go to the right view and adjust some vertices. Let's push these guys in and just follow the image plane. And let's select these guys and follow the seam of the pants. Now let's create the hem for Mario's pants. Let's go to the select face mode and select some faces. Let's just select the outer ones. We don't want the inner ones. And let's go to extrude and scale out a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Let's select these vertices near the armpit area of the overall. I see a gap there, and let's push it in. I can see a gap near the t-shirt. So let's select the edges of the t-shirt, the underneath the edges, and extrude it. And extrude it down and scale it in. That way we won't be able to see the gap between the shirt and the overall. Let's create a seam for Mario's pants. And let's go to the Insert Edge Loop tool and insert edge loop here. And another one here. And let's select the edge loop in between. And let's go to the Move tool and move it in a little bit. And let's go to the Smooth Preview. And you can see a little seam run down the side of Mario's pants. And let's just adjust some vertices a little bit. Let's insert an edge loop right here, right between the knee and the pelvis. And delete history. Let's create the button for Mario's overalls. First, let's create a sphere and move it up and give it a subdivision axis of 8. Next, let's select all the bottom faces of the sphere and delete them. And let's go and select all the bottom edges of the sphere and extrude it and scale it. Scale it together into one point. And let's select all the bottom vertices of that half sphere and merge it and give it a threshold of 1. And next, let's select the bottom vertex and push F11 to select all the faces and extrude it and scale it in and extrude it again and scale it in some more. And let's delete some edges here. And let's delete the top edges. Next, let's scale the button down. Let's rotate Mario's button 90 degrees. And let's go to the front view and move it a little. And let's scale it to the same size as the image. And let's move it closer. And now let's rotate it and try to get it just like the reference image. Try to get it flush to Mario's overall strap. Let's delete history and freeze transformations on the button. Next, let's go to the front view and click D to change the pivot point, click X to center it and click D again. And next, let's go to Edit, Duplicate Special and make sure it's on Copy and duplicate it. Let's turn off the visibility of Mario's head and delete the duplicated geometry of Mario's overall. And let's go to the front view. And let's select all the vertices in the center of Mario's overall. And make sure we have the world axis selected and hit X and snap it to the center grid line. And let's also make sure the pivot point is also centered. Hit D and X, snap it to the center, hit D again. And let's go to Mesh and Mirror. Let's make sure these settings are the same and Mirror. And let's go to Control 1 to isolate the overall. If you look closely in the back, some of the vertices have merged. You just have to lower the threshold a little bit and it will correct itself. And I don't think there's any other things wrong with the overall. Let's hit Control 1 to bring everything back. And let's do the same thing to Mario's t-shirt. Let's select the duplicated geometry and delete it. And next, let's select the t-shirt and hit Control 1 to isolate it. And let's delete its history. And let's go to the front view really quick and select all the center vertices. And let's go to the Move tool and hit X and snap it to the center grid. Let's hit the D key to go into pivot mode and hit X to snap it to the center grid and hit D again. Let's go to Mesh, Mirror, and Mirror. And there are some vertices that have been merged. Let's just turn down the threshold a little bit. And there's still one in the back. Let's turn down the threshold a little bit more. And that looks about right. Sometimes when you mirror a geometry and check the merge vertices option, sometimes there can be some weird effects, so you just have to lower the threshold and generally it corrects itself. But let's select the center vertices and just push them back a little bit to even it out. And let's push these guys back. Let's hit Control 1 to bring everything back again. And let's select the shirts and delete history. Select the overall and delete history. And let's create a new layer. And let's call it body. And save it. Let's select the overall and the t-shirt and add selected objects. Select the buttons and add that as well. Next, let's create a seam in Mario's belly on his overalls. First, let's select this vert right here and go to the select symmetry tool and move them down, and let's go to insert edge loop and let's insert 2 edge loops right here. Insert edge loop, and let's delete all the edges in the back so they won't, because we won't need a seam there. Delete that one, and let's delete these edges. Next, let's go to the split polygon tool and connect these 2 edges here. And let's select these edges in the middle of the seam and let's scale it a little bit. And let's go to select vertice and move this one back. Let's go to the object mode and let's go to the smooth mesh mode, and you can see a subtle seam right in the middle of Mario's overall. At this point, your Mario model should look something like this. And next, we're going to work on the shoes and the gloves.